if it makes you happy. Is that
Can't
Sheryl
be that
Crow?
bad? I think so.
Can't be that bad. Hey everybody, we have a very exciting video today. We are right here, right now, in real time, for reals, unveiling, unboxing our brand new book, first publication from Theology, the Body Institute Press, which is The Retreat by Karol Wojtyla, delivered in 1962, called God is Beauty.
I'm jumping out of my boots, Christopher. Jumping out of my boots. This is so exciting.
We've been working on this for months.
Yes,
months I first
better
discovered
part of a year.
this retreat in 2016 when I was reading Stanislaw Griegel's book.
Right. It was a footnote, or was it in there?
Yeah, there was a footnote in there talking about this retreat, and I was like, why have I never heard of this? And I had a friend in Poland who gave me a private translation of the Polish text, and I devoured it, and I was like, this has got to be published in English. And we eventually got the permissions from the Vatican, and here it is. So let's do it. Bring this box over here. Here we go. All right, do we have a, oh my goodness, that's heavy. Do we have a knife?
Use your bare hands, Christopher.
All right, here we go. God is Beauty, the unveiling, Karol Wojtyla, 1962 retreat. All right.
Cast it to the wind, Christopher.
Oh, look at that. Wow. One for you.
I'll take it.
One for me.
There's nothing like
Check it out.
the feel of a new book.
Ooh. One for our cameraman. Check it out. God is Beauty, a retreat on the gospel and art, with introduction and commentary by yours truly, and reflections by various authors and artists. We don't often think of the humility of God, and there's a difference between humility that you and I are meant to have as creatures,
Right.
and the humility of God. You can't speak of the humility of God in the same sense that you talk about
Right.
humility of a human person. And yet, the second person of the Trinity humbled himself, and we can take that literally. He took on hummus.
Right. The
He
earth.
took on the earth. He
Right.
took on flesh. And in this, we discover the absolute astounding reality of God's humility. God crazily, you could say, punishes our pride by humbling himself.
Right.
And Wojtyla unfolds what that means, that God humbled himself.
And in this whole thing, too, is the idea that this is what makes art now beautiful, because the artist became the stuff of art. What do we make art from? The earth, stone, wood,
hummus,
everything.
Yeah.
We take and we subcreate in the way in which we were created, and he stepped into that.
So the ultimate artist himself, in becoming man, became also art.
And he's the masterpiece of God, right? Jesus, the Son. Oh, then lesson 5, religion, love that gives meaning to existence. So it's so interesting because he begins with beauty and the Creator and his art, and then it goes into the interior life. I remember the transition in the retreat itself, where he starts to get into the life of virtue.
Yeah.
So these worlds are connected, beautifully connected.
So when we say in lesson 1, when he says discover the beauty of God, he's talking not only that God is beautiful, but that God is beauty itself. What is that distinction? And do you remember where he draws that out of from the Gospels? He's talking about call no one good except God.
God alone, right.
And then he makes the connection between the good and the beautiful. Can you connect those dots? The
that you
good, the
can't-
beautiful, and what does it mean that God is not just beautiful, but God is beauty?
Yeah, he's always those transcendentals, we call them, truth, beauty, and goodness. He's all of them synonymously, all capitalized, capital T, truth, capital B, beauty, capital G, goodness. And we can't, so when we're saying good, we're also saying beautiful or beauty or truth. And if we pull one out of the other, it's like the tripod with a leg knocked out. The thing's going to tumble over. So he makes that transition from, we're familiar with that God is good, but did you know the flip side
God
is that he's
is
also beauty.
beauty.
He is beauty.
So when I'm attracted to a beautiful sunset, when I'm attracted to a starlit night, when I'm attracted to a beautiful woman, how do I make that journey from the creature to the creator? What is that?
Right, and this is so Theology of the Body. This is sacramentality, 1962, flowing from the pen of Karol Wojtyla. That if I step into this river of beautiful things, the sunset, the human face, whatever it might be, music, painting, I'm taken into the deep. And this, if I ride this river, it takes me to the source. Like, what are we doing in art, in music, in dance, in creativity, poetry? We're outlining capital B beauty the whole time. So this kind of sanctifies all that we make, all the things that do draw our attention more deeply because they're beautiful. It sanctifies them and puts us on the river.
But we have to go, as you were saying, on this interior journey.
Right.
Because if we stop at the surface of beauty and don't jump in that river to go to where it leads us to the sea, Wojtyla talks about the danger of idolizing beauty.
Exactly. And then we kill the very thing we love by stymieing it, by stagnating it. It's like the pond, not the river, that's covered with algae. And it's repulsive because we tried to capture this thing. So the genius of this retreat is, if you keep going, you're going to discover beauty with the capital B. You're going to discover that this is just, the outline, the tracing of an infinite God who made all these things.
I love in section 5, and here's where he's made the transition to that interior, as you were talking about. He talks about the necessary transition from religion from the human perspective to religion from God's perspective. And he says, when we look at religion from a human perspective, we think first of what I must do, what I must, the oughts, he calls it, the musts. I must fill in the blank, It becomes a list of to-dos, right? Or thou shalt nots. But he says, when we look at religion from God's perspective, we realize that beauty is after us. Beauty is coming to us. Beauty wants to reveal itself to us. There is this master plan where God is saying, let me show you how beautiful I am, and let me show you that the yearning in your own heart for beauty, which is properly called eros, right? The desire for the true, the good, and the beautiful is eros. That yearning in the heart is ultimately a desire for God, and God is coming to us. Religion from God's perspective is not, what do I have to do? Religion from God's perspective is, oh my gosh, the yearning in my heart, which I cannot fulfill myself. This ultimate beauty is a gift to me. He's coming in my direction, Wojtyla says. And Wojtyla says, when we make that transition from religion from the human perspective to religion from God's perspective, there's a revolution in our hearts. It's no longer about my trying to accomplish some religious work or fulfill some religious duty. It's rather about resting in the full truth of my humanity, which is a gaping, yearning, agonizing hunger for beauty, and trusting that beauty, capital B, is a gift to me. Is that the way the world thinks about religion?
Sadly.
No.
Well, not that way.
Not that way.
We think of it as obligation.
Right.
This is the shift for me when I first discovered John Paul II's Theology of the Body, is the shift from obligation, because I should or I have to adoration. Whoa, I want to. How could I not want to? Because this is leading to beauty. Can you share Griegel's insight that you read in that book that led you to this, how he connected the two worlds of John Paul's future thought?
Yeah, he said that this retreat, God is Beauty, which made me say, I have to know this, forms an integral whole with John Paul II's Theology of the Body. And that's what I unpack in my commentary, how the two are connected.
So part 2 is commentary. We take this retreat that Bishop Karol Wojtyla gifted us with in 1962, and as we do at the Institute, we unpack the thought of this great man. So the commentary section is Christopher's wonderful introduction, a single whole with the Theology of the Body, And then each lesson is then unpacked that we talked about from the retreat itself. And if you jump over part 3, reflections, and thank you for the invitation. I got to contribute to that.
You did number 1 here.
Yeah, surrendering to the beautiful. Then a stream of beauty flows through you, but you yourself are not beauty.
That's Mike Mangione did that.
Right.
Our resident artist.
That's right, our colleague and an awesome musician himself. Then nakedness in art and purity of heart, a priest's perspective.
That's Father Thomas Loya, the Byzantine Catholic priest. Beautiful perspective here he offers us.
Finally, lesson 4 is beautifully little, poor, and loved.
That's our own Jen Settle offered that one. And then prayer, sustaining the interior life of the artist, is Sarah Maple. She's a former student of ours, and she's gone on to get her own doctorate in theology and now teaches theology, and herself is an artist.
Yeah.
And she offers a great reflection on sustaining the interior life of the artist. That art, if it's to be authentic art, has to be the expression, the pressing out of the interior life.
Right. So each of these reflections in this part, these commentaries, are flowing from John Paul, Father Bishop Karol Wojtyla's retreat, connected to it, referencing back to it, and again, sort of giving an exegesis, so to speak, of his insights and his thoughts.
And tell us about part 5, your conversation with Dony MacManus.
Yeah, so another student of ours, Dony MacManus, who's been a student of theology of the body for over 20 years, a wonderful Irish sculptor. And I had the chance to have a conversation with Dony about this work and about his work as a sacred artist. So we've transcribed that conversation in its part 4, conversation with artist Dony MacManus. And then finally, Christopher.
Then there's a conclusion that is an adaptation of a talk that I gave on how beauty will save the world. Mm-hmm. And I won't get into the details here, but I do a little unfolding of Elvis and the sexual revolution and what it has to do with the new evangelization. Now, just a little teaser there. So we're very, very excited. This is finally here, released. God is Beauty. Check the link below to get a copy for yourself.
Who does the "It's like raining"?
That's Alanis Morissette.
Oh, that's Alanis Morissette.
You know,
This is all getting us ready for this event.
there is no cases of irony listed in that song.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. It's not ironic, right?
There's nothing ironic about it.
Stupid.
No, I'm wrong. There is one case of irony. The name of the song is Ironic.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
Tweet that.